So what happened there was Lindsay said something that she didn't really want you all to hear. The good news is Liam had not turned her microphone on yet.
Saved.
So
I'm about to be saved by the open.
Good.
Yeah, we're good.
But that was pretty close. For Angel Lindsay, who does nothing wrong.
Liam, that was so funny. Good.
Player goes viral. We'll talk to someone who played for him and someone who coached with him. And
it wasn't a treat, but was it a trick? A family from Auburn says marijuana was placed into their child's Halloween goodie bag.
And we know it's dangerous to drink alcohol while breastfeeding, but what about using marijuana? The experts explain tonight on News Center Now.
For some, it was a truly scary Halloween, and for all the wrong reasons. Hi, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. The night of trick-or-treating ends with a police investigation. NECN's Danielle Waz here to explain what happened in Auburn. Is that right, Danielle?
Well, Lee and Lindsay, she left her home in a costume. She came back with cannabis. That's what allegedly happened in Auburn last night. We spoke to Steve Gagne, who says his fiance's 13-year-old daughter went trick-or-treating with her friends around Auburn Middle School. She was going through her treat bag at home and pulled out this sandwich bag containing a small amount of marijuana. Gagne says he's proud that she did the right thing and handed it over to her parents. We were there as he took it to police this morning and filed a report. They can't pinpoint the exact place that she was allegedly handed the weed, but Gagne is grateful that it did not end up in a younger child's treat bag. And in Newport tonight, police have a warning after a pin was poking out of a peanut butter cup. Police posted to Facebook that a parent was going through a child's treat bag and got stabbed by this pin. They're now asking everybody to double check their candy.
All right, so Danielle, a lot of the questions on social media from people asking about these stories, they're pretty skeptical about this, especially the case in Auburn.
Lindsay, it's a valid question because we have seen some hoaxes with these Halloween candy treats before, but what police are telling me is that they're taking this very seriously, treating it like a legitimate report. They say it's especially concerning because it could have happened right by a school.
All right, Danielle, thank you very much for that.
President Donald Trump wants to set up tent cities along the southern border to detain people coming into the U.S., including asylum seekers. President Trump said this afternoon he'll instruct the Army to build detention tents. And next week, he will issue an executive order next to end the current catch and release policy. He wants to change that to a catch and deport program. More details about this coming up on the next half hour of News Center. All right. It was very rainy.
Let me just tell you,
today.
it rained last night too during trick-or-treat time when I was promised it wasn't going to. I wasn't going to say anything, but it seems like now is a good time
Promised
to bring it
by
up.
me?
No, it was Ryan. It wasn't you.
Okay. That's right. I remember this conversation.
It wasn't you.
I was pretty skeptical. Remember we had that conversation. All right, anyways, not nice out there. And if you think this is bad, just wait until later tonight and tomorrow. These are relatively light rain showers in the scheme of things. A couple of embedded downpours out towards Rumford and into parts of the foothills coming into Farmington. Notice an absence, really, of snow mixed in here for the most part, all but the highest of elevations. It's got friends. Look at all this moisture stretching back through Toronto into St. Louis, another round of energy down towards Atlanta. So this is all going to come through tonight, tomorrow, then reload tomorrow night and into Saturday with that secondary low. The net result is two pretty terrible days, frankly, with quite a bit of rain involved. So tonight it starts to get heavier, especially by late tonight, early tomorrow morning. The rain is got more downpour activity within it. Temperatures upper 40s, low 50s. Through the day tomorrow, we are raining through about midday. Early afternoon, we might have a little break in the action. It's not sunny, but we probably won't see as much in the way of rainfall through early afternoon tomorrow. And then another round comes in tomorrow night. Heavy downpours in there through Saturday morning. I think Saturday morning's pretty wild. Then we crash down some cool air Saturday night and change it over to snow in the mountains. And then finally, we're done. Guys, some of us looking at about 3 inches of rain here. There is, though, at least some silver lining on Sunday. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Because now I control everything. I just want you to really know that.
You control what?
I'm going to you in your the next time you talk out of line. I'm going to take everything from you.
That's the audio recording that went viral this week. You're hearing that was the voice of Maine AAU coach Mike Woodbury, who is a Maine resident, coached in Maine for a lot of years, and he's now the CEO of a Christian school in Florida.
And as Samantha York found out today, this is not the first time he's been accused of behavior like this.
No, not at all. In fact, one of the players that I spoke with says this isn't even the worst that he's heard. In fact, they say the abuse was so bad, former players to this day are scared to talk about it. What was your initial reaction to everything, either one of you?
My first reaction was pretty typical, if not mild, for the emotional abuse that has gone on for years in his program.
Definitely mild with his high intensity. It's just like he cares a lot, and it gets mixed up, where he just becomes that bad of a person, I guess. He's just, he dug himself a hole, I thought. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, he got caught slipping.
I mean, if that's mild, what worse has he said?
I mean, he consistently, I know he consistently has used profanity as far as racially. He's used any type of language and any type of physical emotional abuse that is at his disposal, that people allow him to do.
Woody, he'll give it to you the worst way. You know what I mean? The worst way. I've seen adults cry. I've seen parents cry. And let alone 16, 17, 18-year-old guys.
How can something like this go on for so long and nobody stands up and comes forward?
Because like I said, it's a community. You feel...
Yeah, I mean, I think that people would rather be done with it. I know that there's been several people that have come to me that have given stories and just say that, you know, I don't want to deal with it, because the way he does it after you try to leave him is he will contact you endlessly until he can try to manipulate you even more.
It's just sad that kid had to go through this, and maybe Woody shouldn't be. Yeah, not maybe, he shouldn't be coaching, you know? His time is done, all right? It's time to move on.
So we did reach out to Woodbury today and have not heard back. He did release a statement earlier this week, though, saying while he couldn't justify the language he used, there were two sides to the story, and the tirade didn't happen on school property, and he had issues with the players' conduct. Now, this has gotten the attention of even NBA players. So Donovan Mitchell says this is terrible. He should be fired and not allowed to coach again. How are you going to tell a kid that you control his future because he wants to transfer? Some people abuse their power over young athletes, and it is sad. Make sure everyone knows his name today, Mike Woodbury. And former NBA player Rex Chapman posted a picture saying one of these three guys threatened to extort a teenage basketball player who wanted to transfer. He threatened to send him back to Haiti and warned the kid, "You can't get on my level." Which of these three do you think is Mike Woodbury? And just want to point out too that Javon, he is a basketball coach, so he's dealing with an injury there.
Yeah, practice.
Yeah,
Took an elbow in practice.
Related injury.
Exactly.
Okay. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it. So we talk a lot about this. It's an awful epidemic. Teens and e-cigarettes. Well, the head of the Food and Drug Administration said he's had some constructive conversations with 5 different companies that represent more than 97% of the market for teenagers.
And the FDA told those companies to come up with ways to curb the epidemic and to set an outline for forceful steps this month. The number of high schoolers using e-cigarettes surged a whopping 77% this year.
Really excited to bring you an update on a story we first brought you last February. Stacey McCarthy of Portland needed a kidney for the 3rd time in her life. She's been battling kidney disease since she was 6 years old, had a transplant when she was 16, another one 26 years later, and now needed a third. Her husband, Sean, the owner of Dock 4 in the Old Port, reached out to us to let us know Stacy did get that transplant earlier this week. And so far, everything is going very well. So happy for Stacy and Sean. Good stuff.
Great news for them. That is a great follow-up.
So did you know this?
Yes.
Having children, it's expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, this just in. When you can't have children, the cost can be even higher, though. One couple's journey with infertility and the discussion, it took years for them to even start.
That's fine. We were supposed to have a tease before that tease, but nothing made it in there. Womp womp.
Okay,
How is everybody?
We've had some issues here, so give me a second to catch up.
I know, Facebook's taking forever to load. Here we go.
It's not working for me, so.
All right, here we go.
Hey, there we go.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Roxanne. Hey, Fred. Hey, Joyce. You guys are laughing. I hope you were laughing with me earlier.
Anne's a little skeptical.
Anne is skeptical. Okay. Taylor says detention tense. Would like more detail on what that entails. Okay. Oh, can I just see what that script says first? I haven't memorized it yet. Oh, Betty suspects that the 13-year-old knows who gave it to her and was quick thinking to put it in a candy bag. We have to memorize this.
I am not going to be Facebookable apparently today.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to... Edith is watching. Hey, Edith. Hey, Joy.
From
All
here,
right.
though? So, well, I mean, it's a really long intro, so we're going to have to walk super slow.
We'll go soup slow. Soups slow. Soups slow.
Soups, there it is.
Soups, there it is. Ugh.
Okay.
I bet you knew this. I didn't know this, that there was such thing as this type of consultant. Did you? I didn't know that until just now, that was a thing.
It's a highly lucrative profession.
Really?
Yes. True story.
We're walking. Sorry. Yeah, but thank you though. I wish we invented. I know, right?
Is this strange man bothering you?
Yeah.
We know that drinking alcohol while breastfeeding your newborn is something that is not safe to do. We did a story last week about pumping and dumping and how that's not a safe and effective way to avoid passing alcohol on to your child.
And after that story aired, a viewer, one of you, reached out to us. She's actually a lactation consultant, asking if breastfeeding and marijuana, the same problems arise. So Chris Costa spoke to the experts.
Yeah, Lee and Lindsay, experts in both marijuana and breastfeeding agree. If you are a healthy mom, you should refrain from using marijuana while you're breastfeeding. And if you're using marijuana in place of other medications, experts say you need to be careful.
I'm assuming we're back.
Time now about using marijuana while breastfeeding.
The recommendations are to abstain or significantly reduce the use of marijuana while breastfeeding.
The CDC and American Academy of Pediatrics agree. Medical marijuana expert Dr. Dustin Sulak also says healthy moms should not use marijuana while breastfeeding because THC, the major psychoactive compound in marijuana, does get into breast milk. He says there's not enough evidence through studies to show how it might affect a baby.
There's nothing that shows it's bad for the baby during breastfeeding, but we need a lot more research.
Dr. Sulak says the most recent research shows a child receives about 2.5% of the THC that a mother gets in a dose.
The baby gets a very small dose of THC compared to the mother, and that very small dose is unlikely to have any adverse consequences, but again, it needs to be studied more.
He says some mothers in his practice use medical marijuana instead of other drugs that could potentially harm a baby, like painkillers.
The real conversation is the total dose. Is someone using just the minimal amount needed to control their symptoms under medical supervision?
There's such a variation in THC levels in marijuana that moms are exposed to. So that's where it gets really tricky.
So the general consensus is if you are a breastfeeding mom and you don't need to use marijuana, don't do it. But Dr. Sulak says that if you are going to use marijuana for some type of health issue like migraines, chronic pain, or anxiety, do not smoke it because the smoke contains carcinogens that can be passed along to the baby. Dr. Sulak says there are plenty of other ways to consume marijuana, such as edibles, oils, or tinctures that don't harm the baby. But again, there's not enough research yet to prove that the THC that makes its way into breast milk could or could not harm your child. Lee and Lindsay.
Chris, thank you very much, and good that we paid attention to that viewer's questions. So keep sending in your questions if you have them. #AskNow. Okay, so we celebrated the Red Sox World Series championship yesterday with a big parade in Boston, right?
Yep.
More people celebrating today because it's the day free Taco Bell Doritos Locos Tacos for everyone in America. Everyone from 2 to 6 p.m. because Mookie Betts stole a base in Game 1. So that is pretty awesome if you happen to head over to Taco Bell today.
Very good deal. All right, straight ahead on News Center now, we're going to talk about something that affects up to 15% of couples who are trying to have children.
And we'll also take a look at Keith's forecast. It's going to be wet and wild. There's a first. All right.
Thanks, Pat.
What do we have over there? Because I can't still see it.
I know, Robert. There was big drama with that, but
had some.
Yeah.
We had Boximus Maximus going on over there.
Guys.
Guys.
Where are you going to be?
Any questions?
I can't get Facebook to load, so.
Boo.
My Facebook's broken. I've been banned.
Fred asks, why take a chance? Like, why take even the chance if you're going to be breastfeeding? Why smoke marijuana?
Well,
that's what I think you mean, Fred.
And that's kind of what the doctors were saying. If you're healthy and you don't, use marijuana for some type of other health issue, don't do it. There's no reason to put your kid at a possible risk. Again, even though they don't know about the research yet.
Sure.
If it proves anything or not. But there are some people who rely on it for other medical uses instead of, so there's a lot of people who have weaned off of opioids by using medical marijuana. So it's that balance. You always consult with your doctor. And all
Yeah. It's interesting how our stories all kind of like intertwine today. Like the Reese's marijuana story, the Halloween candy with supposedly with marijuana found in the Halloween treat bag, Danielle's story.
Yeah.
And then your story kind of is a mix, is like the transition, and then to my story, which is about trying to have babies.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's funny. We don't plan that to happen. It just happens days where we all have like themed stories. It's interesting. No tie today, Keith.
I left it at home.
I like the no tie look.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're not stylish enough for you.
Yeah.
I like the no tie
Also, I
look.
can tape stuff without it. That's the important thing.
Can't wait for the emails.
Yeah. I love this commercial on so many levels.
You know what you should do next year for Halloween, if you haven't done this already? To up the spine game, you should wear like a whole green suit and just be the floating head and be like, can't make fun of my clothes if I'm not wearing any.
Some here just have some really crazy ones. People sent me them last night.
Yeah.
Like this one woman wore green pants and then she made a cloud, so it looked like she was floating on a cloud the whole time. Thanks, Obama. God.
Oh my goodness.
It's a topic that can be tough to talk about, and it affects about 15% of couples that are trying to have children. That's according to the National Institute of Health.
Infertility. There are treatments for those who are struggling to get pregnant, but the journey can be emotionally, physically, and financially draining. For one Maine family, it's been a heartbreaking process and a fight they're not willing to give up.
When we got married, the Harlem Shake had just come out.
On the eve of their 5-year wedding anniversary.
And that got everybody out on the dance floor.
Michelle and Sam Havernan are looking through their wedding album, a night shared by family and friends who didn't have to hire babysitters.
Yep, that was really important to us.
They love their kids like they would their own.
There's nothing wrong with us. It's a medical diagnosis.
Not long after they wed, they learned infertility would be a challenge. And not their only challenge.
Unexpectedly, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
Once Michelle was healthy again and got the okay from doctors, they started their journey again to get pregnant.
We didn't think we'd ever be people who did IVF.
Using an $8,000 loan and $3,000 worth of medication, they pursued in vitro fertilization.
And I got pregnant. I found out 2 days before Christmas that I was pregnant. Had a great beta. We went for our first ultrasound and the baby, we saw the heartbeat, but it was a little slower than what they had hoped it would be, and it was measuring a day or two behind. So we came back a week later and for the ultrasound, and the baby no longer had a heartbeat.
Devastated, angry, hopeless.
There was no way we could afford that again.
But they couldn't let go of their aching desire for a child.
My OBGYN had been recommending international IVF because it's a lot cheaper than it is here in the United States.
Using their life savings, they went to Spain. After 2 separate attempts, more heartache. For the second time she was pregnant, but not for long.
There are so many other people that are going through it as well. And we need to talk about it.
A recent report in the Oprah magazine shows cost is the biggest factor that prevents women from seeking infertility care. Michelle was interviewed for that report. So far, they've spent close to $40,000, and to adopt, they say, would actually be another expensive process.
I find the more that I share my story, the more I receive support.
Letting go of feelings of shame, they've started talking more about their struggle. And they're not giving up the fight.
It's such a heartbreaking journey.
Now, Sam and Michelle recently made another difficult decision. They're looking for help online, and they're not alone because, in fact, if you search infertility on the GoFundMe website, you'll find more than 4,000 stories of people who are going through the same thing. And we have a link to Sam and Michelle's GoFundMe page at our website and mobile app.
We've done so many stories on this program over time about couples that go through that and how expensive the process is, emotionally draining, as you mentioned. I mean, and then it's really hard. It's hard for any couple to have to go through because it's not their fault. It just is something that they have to deal with.
And they feel like a burden talking to their family and friends about it because they don't want to drag them down and bother them with this struggle. But by talking about it, they're actually doing themselves some good.
Yep, alrighty.
There's some employers, by the way, now that are starting to include that as it's almost like a perk.
Sure.
And you can go one of 2 ways. They'll pay to have eggs frozen, or they'll pay for in vitro.
That's interesting.
I don't think I haven't seen it in Maine.
State by state too.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyways, all right. So if you like today, it's even better the next couple of days, guys. This is just what a trash pattern we've been in for now the beginning of November, and we were through mid-October too. So showers to a more consistent light rain across the state right now. A couple of embedded heavier downpours moving towards Farmington right now and Waterville, and then coming just to the north there of Belfast. Most of this stuff has been on the light side, but it's still a pretty nasty day out there. And if we zoom out, there's a lot of moisture left. We're just kind of on the fingertip edge of this whole system that stretches back into St. Louis and then a secondary low down into Georgia. So we've got a lot of heavy rain tomorrow and then again tomorrow night and into Saturday, and there will only be brief breaks in between the two. Temperatures mirroring that ocean reading at 51, at 50 in Portland, 49 Wiscasset, 47 and Lewiston and Augusta. Actually, overnight, it won't be all that chilly because the rain moderates our temperatures, so we won't drop all that much, but not much of a consolation for the weather that we're going to see. Heavy rain starts moving in later tonight into early tomorrow morning, and I think it'll be raining pretty hard when most of us wake up, depending on exactly what time that is. But around noon into the early afternoon, we start to quiet down for rain, not clear out. It's still cloudy, but the heavier stuff stops tomorrow afternoon for a brief period of time, and then the rain moves back in tomorrow night, and it's raining heavily Saturday morning through around midday Saturday. Then it gets kind of wild Saturday afternoon. It gets windy. The winds crash out of the northwest. We pull down some cold air, and it starts changing over to snow in the mountains and foothills, and then it's out of here on Saturday night. So I think Saturday will be a really interesting day from the rain and wind, and then changing over to the colder temperatures on the backside. But wait, finally a nice day on Sunday. It looks mostly sunny and temperatures around average. The models are going back and forth a bit on rainfall amounts here, but it doesn't really matter that much. It's around 2 inches that most of us will see, and I think we'll see some of us around 3 inches of rain, and then an additional storm will come on top of that on Wednesday and add some more rain, and so we'll be looking at about 4 inches in a lot of spots. For Election Day, it should be fine, and then Wednesday is another rainy day. So as a percentage, we're not doing great here. Sunday and Monday look good, and part of Thursday. And again, just scattered showers. Nothing that should stop you from going to the polls here on Tuesday, and then rain on Wednesday. So it's just
same old song and dance.
Yeah, the drought's gone, so there's that. But other than that, it's been pretty bad.
Stuck in this little pattern here.
Yeah. All right, break us out of it.
All right,
thank you. Time to take a look at what's snapping in. It's our favorite part of the show now.
It makes me so happy.
Halloween yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Did we enjoy it?
You know, it was a cozy night. I watched Pet Sematary for the first time. Stephen King's.
Oh, yes. Our very own.
Didn't sleep so good after
Take
that.
a look at some of these pictures.
Yeah.
Y'all snapped them, and we still.
This is great.
Somebody's getting funky.
I love this costume.
That could have been Keith in front of the weather wall like that, right?
Someone sent me the DIY instructions.
Seriously,
I love
that's
this.
good stuff.
All right, here we go. Who do we have here?
That's extremely creative as well.
Yeah. Is he on a hoverboard?
I feel like yes, and protected by the tinfoil in case it catches fire.
Is he leftovers?
So that's a good thing.
Oh,
look
who's
at
this
that.
cutie?
Yeah, this is post candy. This is what happens after. This is sugar high, where you let them run up and down the halls, bang into walls, whatever you need to do to get them to bed.
At least they kind of have their jammies on. One had the jammies on, one didn't.
That was strategery right there, because then they just pass out and boom, off the bed. Good job. Thanks,
very
guys.
Good. All right, a lot more coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30. We're going to check in and see what's going on with Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, guys. We are following a developing story out of Washington County where a school bus was involved in an accident in the town of Columbia Falls. That's halfway between Machias and Cherryfield. News Center Maine's Jackie Mundry is on the scene. We're going to have much more coming up. Also, this coming Saturday is National Sandwich Day. We will find a Maine restaurant that is serving them in a very unique way. Those stories and more ahead at 5:30. Back to you.
That looks delicious.
Suddenly hungry. Okay.
Exactly. Raindrops when we come back. Missed this national sandwich story. Basically, there's a place in Maine that will make sandwiches, but the buns of the sandwich are donuts.
So you've got half a donut, turkey,
whatever
lettuce,
you want. Yeah.
half a donut.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do that.
It's like, you know, McGriddle is like savory and sweet. It's like the same
It
concept.
would
Some
have
people
to be
might think
the
it's gross,
right-
but
well, it'd have to be the right sandwich. Like, something is not going to work with a donut top and bottom.
I feel like it would be good for a breakfast sandwich.
Turkey it would work on.
Yeah.
If you got a maple donut with turkey in the middle, now you got maple and bacon, maple turkey bacon.
Done. Done.
I'm all in on that. That's what I'm talking about. That'd be really good. Really good.
All right.
Help me with a white balance.
Yes. Yes. I'm just going to plug these
Liam
in.
while we have a minute here. Liam, how was your Halloween? Yeah? Not a lot going on?
Bob, our fellow digital member, was saying to bring in candy today, but I kind of forgot.
So nobody
he
did.
Thought that he assumed that I was going trick-or-treating, but
The beauty of our newsroom is like the first day after Halloween, you don't get a lot. Second day, a little will trickle in. By like next Tuesday, all the parents in the newsroom are sick of having the candy in their house. And that assignment desk way over there is right there is going to get filled up. Filled up with candy. And I would say 5 to 6 days.
Our building manager says it wrong, so I can't wait to correct her.
Jeff. Jeff.
Yep.
Woo!
All right. There will be at 5:30. They're going to do weather right off the top, so now let's just grab that camera. All of the weathers.
All of the weathers. This looks like something in my nightmares. It looks like the thing also from Finding Nemo.
It looks like Bruce. It is. You know how this works? Have you ever seen the videos on this?
No.
So since it's so dark at that part of the ocean, there's no light at all. So this is bioluminescence, and it attracts prey, and they hide under the sand. This little thing, they come up to it, and as soon as they get close to it, they eat it.
Chomp, chomp, chomp. Look at those teeth.
Yep.
Man.
The deep ocean is like creepy AF.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Those octopi that like change colors.
Okay, so Twitter, every once in a while the scientists get on the Twitters, and they use hashtag SpookWar, and it's like the scariest stuff that you can find in the deep ocean. So let's scroll down. There's some really good ones here. A lot of the stuff in the deep ocean has adapted. That's not scary, whatever. This is apparently, what is this called? It's a deep sea critter, squat lobster. All right, let's keep going down a little bit more. I like this guy. This is the guy with the lure we were just talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So this is bioluminescence designed to attract predators, and when the predators get close to it, they realize there's a big ugly mouth there waiting to eat it. And then look at this guy, fang tooth. We call Lee that sometimes. Look at this. Look at the teeth here. Ridiculous. Here's a stat for you guys. About 70 to 75% of the life on Earth is in the ocean, and only 10% of the ocean have we explored, meaning depth-wise.
Really?
And overall volume, because it's just creepy down
small.
there. Yeah, so that's like, you talk about the final frontier. We're trying to go Mars and all this. Ocean.
We're going the wrong way.
Although if you see stuff like that, turn around.
Much safer.
Yeah.
All right, News Center 5:30 starts right now.
That just blew my mind. It made me feel so small. Bye, guys.
Facebook. See you mañana.
Oh, that just made me